Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Welcome, Edie.
I commend you all on your stamina. I'm Dr. Edie Widder. I'm the Senior Scientist and CEO of the Ocean Research and Conservation Association. A lot of people have spoken today about how important the Indian River Lagoon is to us in our local community. I wanted to put it in a broader context. The three most productive places on the planet are coral reefs, rainforests, and estuaries. And we have the remarkable fortune to have one of these wellsprings of life right in the midst of our community here. But that privilege brings with it the responsibility of its stewardship, not just for the local residents that want to enjoy the pleasure and economic benefits of clean, healthy water in their backyards, but actually for the very salvation of the ocean. There are so many factors that contribute to the productivity of the lagoon, but perhaps least appreciated and most important are the seagrass meadows. One good thing that's coming out of all of this is that I think our community is learning a lot more about seagrass. Seagrasses provide food and shelter for wildlife, not just the lagoon's year-round residents, but also many open ocean fauna that spend only a short but essential part of their life cycle in this lagoon to feed or spawn. Seagrasses are absolutely essential to the life cycles of shrimp, lobsters, seahorses, sea turtles, manatees, and enormous numbers of fish, including spotted sea trout, red drum, snook, and mangrove snapper. A single acre of seagrass can support as many as 40,000 fish and 50 million small invertebrates. Additionally, seagrass slows water movement and traps sediment, filtering out suspended sediment and improving water clarity. Seagrass roots and rhizomes stabilize the seabed, providing wave protection and guarding against coastal erosion. Seagrasses also generate oxygen and store carbon. In fact, per hectare, seagrass meadows hold twice as much carbon dioxide as rainforests, which is why protecting seagrass has become an issue of global concern in the fight against global climate change. This is why the loss of 47,000 acres of seagrass in the IRL is so catastrophic. That die-off, which began in the spring of 2011, was followed by mass mortalities of manatees, dolphins, and pelicans, and fish populations have plummeted. The fact is, we don't know what killed the seagrass. Some say the superbloom, which also began in the spring of 2011, was the cause. But there is evidence the seagrass was dying before that, and in fact, drift macroalgae, which is the most abundant aquatic macrophyte community in the IRL, essentially disappeared before the superbloom in mid-2010. So it's possible the superbloom was not a cause, but an effect. Drift algae acts like a sponge for nutrients, so its die-off could have released a pulse of nutrients that triggered the bloom. The point is, if we don't know what caused the die-off, then we certainly don't know why the seagrass around the Oslo boat ramp was spared. What we do know is that seagrass is vital to the rejuvenation of the Indian River Lagoon. Seagrasses reproduce both sexually and asexually. Asexually by sprouting new blades from rhizomes, their roots, and that goes to your question about why there's a season to them. The rhizomes should be still there if the grass is healthy, and the blades reappear during the summer season. And they spread out from existing plants. Sexually, they reproduce by producing a flower that blooms underwater and is fertilized by pollen that's carried by the water currents and results in seeds that can float long distances before they settle in the sediment and germinate. Our best hope of seeing seagrass reestablished in the IRL are these existing seagrass beds, which is why we are fighting so hard to protect them. My message here today is a simple one, and that is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. There is now a considerable body of scientific literature showing that in complex systems where we have a limited understanding of how the system functions, that the general rule has been that any intervention, no matter how well intentioned, leads to increased detrimental environmental impacts, and those impacts increase in direct proportion to the degree of human intervention. Seagrass takes a very long time to recover, even in healthy systems, and existing grass beds are the very best chance of recovery. The lagoon right now is not a healthy system. It's a very unstable one under a lot of stress already, and the introduction of any additional stress could tip the balance too far. It's like pushing on a light switch. You keep pushing and pushing, with each additional environmental insult adding a little more pressure, until finally the switch flips into another stable state, an unhealthy one, lights out. So please don't put one of the very few healthy spots left in the lagoon under any more pressure. No matter how well-meaning your intentions, the end result could be that in a year or two, we will be conducting what has come to be known as a restoration autopsy. We cannot afford to play ecological roulette with our very limited remaining seagrass. The costs of a miscalculation at this juncture are simply unacceptable. Any interventions that you undertake without a clear understanding of the ecological implications or risks could be just the additional pressure needed to flip that switch. I don't believe you want to do harm, and I certainly don't think you want the cause of death in a restoration autopsy to read the Indian River County Commission. Thank you.
Thank you.